Hey guys, it's Sunday morning, getting ready to do some work on the farm today. Got to cut a few trees down. I tore up there's a big house back here. I leveled it all. I rototilled all this, so it's just property starting to look beautiful. So I was walking around thinking about what am I going to make a video on, what to talk about, because I'm always talking about Bitcoin, I'm talking about BlackRock, I'm talking about Kathy Wood and Michael Saylor and whoever else. And I'm thinking to myself that people need to think like, why are you, before you buy Bitcoin and before you buy stocks or commodities or anything. My daughter gave me a cough. You have to ask yourself, why are you doing it? If you're buying meme coins, it's probably because you need the adrenaline rush and because you like to gamble. And a lot of times what people do is they get on the internet and they listen to social media influencers and they buy their tokens because they say buy them. And they don't realize a lot of these influencers are getting paid to pump these tokens. And that's why when you hear people say, do your own research, they're not kidding. You really need to do your own research. And Michael Saylor has said at one point that if you really want to understand a concept, you need to study it for 1,000 hours. 1,000. And so I talk to people when I talk to them about Bitcoin and I have them explain to me what Bitcoin is, I realize that a lot of the people I talk to, they have no clue what Bitcoin is. They're just buying it because everybody else said buy it. And they got a few buzzwords that they use, like, decentralized, 21 million. You hear that from a lot of people, but in reality, most people really have no idea what they're talking about. And I'm like, damn, this is really interesting because we could really take advantage of these people, make a lot of money on these people. So, if you're going to be in the crypto space, if you're going to move forward in crypto space, you really need to understand, learn what crypto is. Learn about Bitcoin, learn about Ethereum. What was the point of Ethereum? I would be willing to bet if I asked anyone today, tell me what you know about Ethereum, like why was it created? I would be willing to bet 99 out of 100 people would have no clue. They wouldn't even know anything. They'd come up, well, it was decentralized and ERC20 and all these other, like I said, the buzzwords, but they have no idea what they're talking about. It's kind of frustrating to me because when I try to have conversations with people about who are in the know in crypto, after about 2 or 3 minutes of talking to them, I realize they have no idea what they're talking about. I'm educating them, which I don't mind. I love educating people. But, if you're going to pretend like you know what you're doing in crypto, make sure that you know what you're doing because you're going to look like an idiot when you get on the internet. I know what Bitcoin is. I know what money is. I know what ERC20s and all the rest of the crappy tokens that are out there, what they are. At the end of the day, I'm a Bitcoin maxi. I know everything. I shouldn't say everything. I know a small amount about Bitcoin, even after 10 years of studying it. So I guess kind of the theme of this morning's video while I'm out here working on the property, I'm thinking about, the viewers, the followers, people who love crypto. I can't stress this enough that the 80s were the once-in-a-lifetime opportunities for computers, and the 90s were the once-in-a-lifetime opportunities for the IPOs and the startups and the Amazons and the Microsofts and whatever else. And then, we've had all these once-in-a-lifetime opportunities, and I talked about this a few weeks ago. This literally, if I could tell you that the opportunity you have right now could literally change the direction of your family forever. I'm not talking about your family. I'm talking about your family, your grandkids, your great-grandkids, your whatever. Forever. You literally create a legacy that could last 1,000 years, assuming we're still around 1,000 years. But, if I told you that you could do that, you could go work a regular job and you could make money and live just like everybody else, paycheck to paycheck, buying nice cars and trucks, buying a house, whatever, and then you leave that legacy to your kids, and hopefully they don't screw it up and they get a good job or whatever. Or I told you that you could literally change the history of your family forever just by taking 1,000 hours of your time and studying Bitcoin. Now, if you work a 40-hour week, in a year, you work 2,000 hours, okay? So what that means is that you would have to come home from work every day and spend 2 hours studying Bitcoin, reading everything you can, all the books you can find, watching YouTube videos. Listen to YouTube videos on the way to work. You listen to videos on when you're on break. Spend that 1,000 hours learning about Bitcoin, and then you can go from the guy next door who's working paycheck to paycheck, put money into a 401k, which inevitably will fail, putting money into an annuity that maybe they'll get a few extra percentage points than the market's going to give them with deferred interest. Maybe. You can be that guy, or you can be so super wealthy in 10 years, you can swim in your money. It's not about getting wealthy and swimming in your money. For me, at my age, I'm almost 60 and I have a young wife and kids. Mine is to leave a legacy for my family and for their families and for their families forever. I'd like to live another 20 years. I think it would be nice, but I'm kind of a realist. I know that I think the average age expectancy in the United States is 70, 75 years old. I kind of take care of myself. Hopefully I'll be around, but I'm not doing this for myself. I drive an old, shitty, beat-up Dodge Ram. People make fun of me. They laugh. My buddies at work laugh at me. I don't owe anything on it. My wife drives a minivan that's been paid off. I don't buy new things. I wear a lot of the same clothes. And I keep telling people, even my wife, I don't need a new shirt. You know why? Because those couple dollars can go into Bitcoin. And she's made fun of me over the last 10 years. But over the last 10 years, we've accumulated a shitload of Bitcoin by doing that. So, you know, I'm Safedine Moose. Does he talk about it? I can't remember the terminology about people who... In fact, we'll talk about it next weekend in his the Fiat Standard. It talks about, I can't remember the terminology, but it's about people who spend as soon as they get it and people who look long term. There are terms he uses for it, and I can't remember them right now. But anyway, you know, if you are the person that you're not selfish, you know, you're not thinking just of yourself, and you're willing to say, you know what, I don't need a brand new car. I don't need that $700 or $800 a month car payment because I can pay the insurance, and then whatever I pay in the car payment would go into buying Bitcoin. I don't need to eat out at an expensive restaurant 4 days a week. I don't need to order, you know, with the Gen Z or whatever this generation is, where they don't have food in their refrigerator. They have it shipped in to them every day, whatever, DoorDash or not probably DoorDash, whatever, you know, and they're spending 30 or 40% more because they have a lot of expendable income, right? They have tons of income. They're living good. They don't realize the economy's failing, and they're all about themselves. They're not getting married, not having children. You know, what's the point of owning Bitcoin or even doing anything for your financial future if you're not even going to leave it to, you haven't even going to leave it to? What a waste. What a waste of life. So, like I said, the theme of my video today really is just to say, you know, think about something other than yourself, like the legacy you're going to leave. Stop pissing away money, because that's probably what most of you are doing right now. You talk the talk, but you don't walk the walk. You're like, yeah, I agree. You should probably own a new used car as you go out and you get in your brand new truck or car. I mean, can you imagine throwing away $600 or $700 or $800 a month on an asset that's going to be worth zero in 20 years? The hardest asset that's ever been created in the history of the world, financial asset, is Bitcoin. There's nothing else. We can talk all day long about gold. Gold is not a finite asset, right? We can discover more gold tomorrow, and if we do, it's going to devalue the price of gold. All the governments print away their fiats and destroy their fiats inevitably over. I think Ray Dalio said somewhere around 100 years, generally speaking, a fiat will end. So the United States dollar hasn't done too bad. It's going to go to zero inevitably. Every single currency debases itself to zero. Bitcoin, it's impossible for that to happen. Number one, it can't be controlled by governments. It can't be debased because there's only 21 million, and there's actually less than 21 million, right? If you know anything about Bitcoin, and if you've been reading about Bitcoin, you know that there are millions of Bitcoin that have been lost, and even Satoshi's wallet hasn't been touched since the inception of Bitcoin, so there's another million that's sitting there that hasn't been touched. If people die with their Bitcoin passwords in their head, what does it do? It increases the value of Bitcoin because there's less liquidity in Bitcoin. It's so obvious to me what's going to happen over the next 10 and 15 years. We're going to see the largest spike in a hard asset that we've ever seen in the history of the world, and that's going to be Bitcoin. So even though we talk about meme tokens, which it's bullshit, I just do it because it's fun. It's not about the money for me, because I'd like to have that little bit of adrenaline spike. You know, I know a lot of you guys are gambling on a meme token, hoping to get rich, but the gamblers that are out there that are making money on meme tokens, they're going to end up losing everything because they're gamblers. All they care about is how it makes them feel when they win, right? But if you could just take just a little bit of that win and buy Bitcoin, put it into a cold storage, and just leave it alone and forget about it, in 10 years, you're going to be ultra wealthy. I was watching a video the other day. I'll try and remember it, and I'll post it in this YouTube video. They talked about, they were trying to decide like what people would be worth based on the number of Bitcoin that they owned. And I'll find it and I'll post it on here. But I think they said if you own a tenth of a Bitcoin in 10 years, it'll be analogous to you owning a small company today. If you own half a Bitcoin, it'd be like owning like a medium-sized corporation. If you own a Bitcoin, it'll be like you owning a large corporation. One Bitcoin, all right? Bitcoin's at $25,000 right now. It's going to go to 1 million. It's going to go to 10 million. It's going to go to 1 billion. I'm not going to be alive when that happens, but I don't care. I'm leaving a legacy for my kids. The point is that this is probably, In my experience, the last 10 years, the way Bitcoin cycles, this is going to be your last opportunity to buy Bitcoin at 25, 26,000. I don't give a shit about the traders. I don't care about people charting and talking about, hey, Bitcoin, you know, if you look at the stochastics or the Bollinger Bands, it's going to go up. It might go up 1,000 here, 4,000 here. It doesn't matter. I'm not a trader. I'm a buyer and holder of Bitcoin. You guys need to adopt that same attitude. Buy Bitcoin, hold it. Do not sell your Bitcoin for anything, ever. Especially not to pay off a house or to buy a new car. You know, people, they make money in Bitcoin are like, oh, guess what? I paid off my house. I bought a new car. Why the hell would you do that? Why would you buy a house, sell your Bitcoin to buy a house when you've got the hardest asset in the history of the world? The only reason property values are going up is because the dollar is being debased. Property values don't change over time. I don't know if you guys know that. Maybe you should take a class. Maybe listen to Max Kaiser or one of the other social media influencers, and they'll tell you that it's true. It doesn't. Property value goes up because our dollar is being destroyed. That's why property values go up. Okay. There's one hard asset that you need to own. It's Bitcoin. Work a second job if you have to. It doesn't matter if you're wiping asses, washing dishes, rubbing elbows. Every time you get a paycheck, I don't care if you buy $10 in Bitcoin, you buy $100, you buy $1 in Bitcoin. Think about yourself. Think about your children, your wife or husband or whoever. Think about your grandparents, your not your grandparents, your grandchildren, great-grandchildren, great-great-grandchildren, great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great, forever. Because by investing in Bitcoin today, that's what you're doing. You're leaving a legacy forever. This is a once-in-a-species opportunity. This is probably never going to happen again in the history of our world. Maybe it will. I doubt that it will. But as far as we are right here today talking about Bitcoin, this is your last chance to get Bitcoin at 26 to 30,000, because the next bull run, when the ETFs are approved, when major corporations get in here and start buying Bitcoin and they start custodying it, loaning it out, $1 million Bitcoin doesn't mean shit to these people. They'll pay $1 million, they'll pay $5 million, they'll pay $10 million, because just based on fractional lending, they can 10 or 20 or 30 or 50 or 100x that. They don't give a shit about you. I promise you. If you're going to create a legacy for your family, for your future, for your great whatever, you need to be buying Bitcoin right now, today. You've got about 6 months left before this boom's going to happen. Hell, it could happen tomorrow. And then it's going to be too late. Buy Bitcoin. Crypto Noobs, I'm out of here. I got work doing I got farm work to do. I'm screwing around talking on this video. Everybody, have fun.